Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity tonight to talk to this issue. I, too, stand in full support of passage of the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act and ask the Senate to reach down deep into their consciences, their hearts, their emotions, and so often we don't talk about that on the floor of this august body, House of Representatives, but that's where it ought to flow. Because indeed we here, both in the House, the People's House, and the Senate, were sent to represent people. People of a great nation. People who are of a blessed nation. A nation that has honored the worth, the purpose, and the value of life itself since its inception. We were formed of people with great ideas, great value, great courage, and indeed formed of their blood given for the rights and freedoms of all individuals. And so for us to concern ourselves with protecting the most innocent among us, even those that are among us in the womb, I think of my new granddaughter in the womb right now, in my daughter's body, waiting for, in just a month and a half, the opportunity to breathe air itself and become a functioning human being, cared for, growing, and ultimately becoming all that God intended for her. I would say the same for any human being, born or unborn, that we must protect. Mr. Speaker, I certainly thank the gentleman from Arizona, his courage to push for this with unwillingness to bend and bow under those that would say, oh, get over it. Stop defending something that's indefensible. And I would say, thank God for defending something that is totally defensible. As was mentioned earlier, we were founded on principles that were firm and correct. The founders and framers long understood the power of truth versus human wisdom. Truths and wisdom that said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator, with certain unalienable rights, among them the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. John Adams said our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other, and indeed what we've seen in videos in recent days have evidence that when you step out of that moral principle, you go into things unthinkable and grotesque. It's been said that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any land. And how could we not feel reproached in looking at videos of a licensed doctor who's willing to take and sell body parts and to countenance pain as something as just part of the process and to be totally unconsidered? Mr. Speaker, I spent a good deal of my early adult life in the pulpit ministering to people from an authority far greater than this government or even this Constitution, the greatest document on the face of this earth man-made. But the psalmist said, behold, children are a gift of the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. That's true. Certain commentators will denigrate me for bringing up these truths, and so be it, but they are truths. Jeremiah, the prophet, said, before I formed you, speaking of God, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. The psalmist David, who became King David, said, for you formed my inward parts. You wove me in my mother's womb. Does that sound like what that doctor was doing in the womb? Weaving, carefully forming? No, she was destroying. We must fight back against that. He went on to say, I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the depths of the earth. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker. Your eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in your book were written all the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there were not one of them. I thank the gentleman from Arizona. I thank you for your courage in standing for life itself and acknowledging the fact that the Creator has formed something of greatness, and we must not stand in the way, but do everything possible to reject the pain, to reject the defeat, to reject the conquering of the human spirit beginning right in the womb. May God help us in this country to repent, to seek His healing, and to do right and spare the innocent among us. Thank you very much. I yield back.